Greetings everyone and welcome to Southern New Hampshire University Justice 224 Legal Research Methods. Joe Davis here. Today we're going to spend a few minutes talking about assignment or activity as they're called 2-2, which is your final project, milestone number 1, draft section 1. And this will be one of two mini lectures. This first one I'm just going to talk about the actual content of the assignment, the format, what the parts are, the rubric and the critical elements. Sorry about that. In the next section I'll talk about the specific content. Okay, so as this PowerPoint says, milestone 1 draft section 1 is the first part of 7-2, which is your final activity. And as in week 1, one of the assignments is to read all the material, the case study, all the requirements. I think there are 16 or 17 critical elements in the rubric. It's a very lengthy and extensive rubric, so that you have an understanding of where you're going to go. This particular assignment will be the first part of your final project. So if you do really well on it, you won't have much to tune up or rewrite or fix. And if you have some areas that you can improve, you'll have time to do that, okay? So in this session, we'll talk about the structure of the assignment, as I said, and in part 2, I'll cover the specific content. So what is this assignment? The assignment is to conduct a thorough analysis of a fact pattern. In the next section I'll tell you what a fact pattern is, but you should be able to figure that one out, and that is when you read the case study, what are the facts of the case? Are there parts of it that don't necessarily need to be included for whatever reason, or they aren't relevant to the legal issues? Okay, your assignment will be to analyze that fact pattern and then come up with 5 separate legal issues. And then, so how do you do that? You look for any fact that appears to create a legal issue. And this is a key element for you. And I'm going to slow my speech pattern here because I talk real fast. When you identify what a fact is, that doesn't give you anything to research. And so that's why it has to become an issue. So you ask a question. It's hard to go on without an example. So in the scenario, Victor shoots Private Dan. That's a fact. What we don't know, hence the legal issue, is what crime did Victor commit when he shot Private Dan. Now that's as slow and as simple of an example as I can make it for you, and that's all it takes. That's one of your 5 right there. So you're going to go through and identify the facts of the case. Remember, I talked about using the Cornell note-taking system if you wanted. That's a split piece of paper. You'll see attorneys do it in court all the time. Down the left-hand side, maybe you're going to write your facts. On the right-hand column, you'll go back and revisit it, see if it's an issue. Okay, do you see anything that might be a violation of federal, state, or local law? And at this point in time, in this assignment and in this class, you don't need to know specifically what it is. It's just that you think it might be a violation of law. Next, you need to create a roadmap to answer your questions, to lead you to answer your questions. So you go from a fact to an issue, which is a question, and now you're going to develop that roadmap of how am I going to research, what research methods am I going to use to discover the answer to my legal issue. Again, in the most simple example, how am I going to find out what crime Victor committed when he shot Dan? Next, after you've identified your legal issues and the research methods that you're going to use, you need to identify the source of law that you feel is most important. Okay? So you've got your facts, you've got your legal issue, you've come up with a research method to answer the questions about that that legal issue, and now you're going to identify what is the source of law that you think is most appropriate. Okay, the rubric it's 2 pages long. The assignment and the rubric It's in week 2 in module 2, so that you shouldn't have any trouble finding it. You can also go to just the generic information and you'll find it for all of them, for all assignments. So anyway, analyze the fact pattern issues. You need to identify 5 legal issues present in the case study and defend your choice. That's a critical element. You must do that to earn points. Number 2, you need to analyze that fact pattern. Research methods. You determine which research methods will be used, and then you explain why the methods that you selected will be the most effective. Okay. You analyze a fact pattern looking for the controlling law. Identify what steps will be needed in order to determine the controlling law and describe how these steps will be effective. Controlling law is the mandatory law. In this case, it's going to be an attempt homicide law, either state or federal. But once you determine that that's the controlling law, yes, Victor shot Dan 4 times. He was trying to murder him. He was trying to kill him. So the crime is attempted murder. That's the controlling law. Could it be assault with a deadly weapon? Sure. Could it be brandishing? Sure. Is it? No. The controlling law says everything involved in that legal issue is attempted murder. Okay? So if we look for articulation and response, the last critical element, your submission has no major errors related to citations, grammar, spelling, syntax, or organization. Some of the things that I've seen of late in papers, and I offer these to you so maybe you can catch some errors before they get to me, is figure out when you're supposed to when you're supposed to capitalize. If you're just writing a sentence that says the police officer went to the store, those aren't proper nouns, so they don't get capitalized. You would have to say a City of Los Angeles police officer, and even then it would be marginal. I've noticed students have a tendency to, I don't know why, to use capital letters almost at random, frankly, so pay very, very close attention to that. The citations we'll talk about here in just a second. Grammar, if you're struggling with it, go to the Research and Writing tab and get some help. Short, simple sentences are still complete sentences, so that's better than a lengthy run-on sentence. If you have 12 or 15 words in a sentence, read it out loud and see if it makes sense to you, if it's what you really want to say, because chances are, unless you've constructed a very well-written complex sentence, which you may do, you're probably rambling a little. Okay, syntax is exactly the same thing, really. It's, does your sentence make sense? Is it cogent? Is it coherent? And then finally, organization. Does your paper flow in a logical order? All right, special notes. We use here at Southern New Hampshire the APA, American Psychological Association format for your paper and your citations. Now that means it includes how your cover page should look, how your running head should look in your paper, how to write citations. All of that falls under APA. So that means this very first paper you should actually have it in last week's, and I mentioned it in those mini videos, but in this one you should have all of that, and then that will carry you into the final project. Where can you find out about this? You can find the link by going to the Blackboard shell, as it's called, the first page. On the left hand side there is a button. In the old days, a tab, a selection that says Research/Writing. If you click on that, you'll see a choice that says SNHU Research Guides. Click on that, and then there'll be a whole list of them. And fortunately, APA is early in the alphabet, so you click on APA Style Basics and it will give you the guidelines to follow on how to do it. If you need help, let me know. There are other Purdue University's online writing institute has a great link, the OWL link. All right, in part 2 I'll discuss how to develop your paper and meet the requirements of the critical elements. Okay, we'll walk through specifically the content, not the format. Keep the cards and letters coming. Good luck to all of you on this. I know you're going to work hard on it, and we'll get through this.